Hello everyone, welcome to my video. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to use Google Colab, an online Python editor that allows you to do Python coding without downloading any software on your local computer. So let's see how we can use it. First, you need to go to your browser. I'm using Google Chrome. So here I'm typing Google Colab. And then I can find this official website of Google Colab. It's colab.research.google.com. So I click on this one, and you have to sign in while your Gmail. So here on my Google Colab, here I have several notebook files here already, and you can see that all these notebook files, they have the same extension IPYNB. And it's the same as any Jupyter Notebook file. If you have never used Google Colab before, you don't have any files here on there. And basically, you can click on the new notebook to launch your first new notebook on Google Colab. And the interface of Google Colab is very similar to Jupyter Notebook. First, you want to change the title and customize the title. You don't want to touch upon the .ipynb part because that's the extension. You just want to change the name part. So I can name it demo. Okay. And you can hit the enter button there to name it. So here by default, we have the first vacant code cell. And you can just click anywhere inside the code cell to start coding. So for example, I can create my first variable called consumer, and I can assign a value, a string value, Tom, to it. So this is my variable consumer, and the value of it is Tom. Okay. So if you want to print out the consumer, basically you can hit the enter button, go to the next line of coding. And some people, they prefer to add a space, like a vacant line in between. So you can just hit enter again to go to next line. Well, it doesn't matter how many vacant lines you're going to have, because that does not affect Python to execute your line of coding. So we can print out consumer here. So see, my first line of coding is this consumer equal to Tom, which means that I assign the value of Tom to consumer. And my second line is vacant. So Python will not run the second line, it's vacant in Python's eyes. And Python will move to your third line, print consumer. Basically, Python will print out the value of your consumer, this variable. So let's run this one here by click on this button here. And you can see the value of my variable consumer is there in output section. It's very easy to use. And also another function of Google Colab is that if this is your last line of coding inside that particular cell, you don't even have to use print function to print it out. You can just type the name of that variable you want to print out, and you can run the whole coding again. And the value of that variable will be printed out for you automatically. And to delete this code cell, you can hit anywhere inside the cell. And here you can see there are some options there. And this is the delete button. You can delete it very easily. Well, if you accidentally delete it and you want to recover it, no worry, you can recover the whole cell very easily. Just go to your keyboard and hit Control plus M plus Z. And it's there now, very quickly. Okay. So another way to delete the code cell is that you hit anywhere inside the code cell and go to the edit button and hit delete selected cells, and it's gone. And then you hit anywhere inside, just hit your mouse somewhere inside the whole space, and then Control plus M plus D is now back. It's very convenient. Well, what if like you accidentally remove a line of coding or several lines of coding inside the cell? The cell is there, but the content is gone, and you want to recover the content. No worry, you can just go to your keyboard and hit Control plus Z, and all the content will be back step by step. Okay. So let's say if you remove the consumer first and consumer equal to Tom second, and if you want to recover, then you have to recover them step by step. So once I hit Control plus Z, the first line is back. Then I have to hit Control plus Z again to recover the second line. So that's what we mean, recover the content step by step. And you can keep adding more code cells by go to the insert button and select code cell, and then you can add another cell below. You can adjust any cell's position by using the button up or down. It's very convenient. So one function of Google Colab is that you can continue using any established variable from any previous cell that you have run. So for example, I have already run the first cell and I have already created the value of consumer. So I can actually type it out again in the second cell. So it's there, right? I can also update maybe the value of consumer. For example, I can use the existing value of consumer, Tom, and add it with a white space and plus another string value, Jeff. And then I assign the whole value to the existing variable called consumer. And then once I print out consumer again, the value is going to be updated to Tom space Jeff. That's how we can update any existing variable. So next, I'm going to show you how to create a section header. Imagine that sometimes you have multiple cells and you want to put them under the same header because they belong to the same category. So you can just go to Insert and Section Header Cell. Then just click on there, click on the cell and just rename the content. You can name it Consumer, for example. And then once you're done, you can just insert any new code cell below and it's there, you see. You can also adjust your section header's position by using the up and down button there. So now I have my first section called consumer. And I have two code cells below. You can also add a text cell. So text cell means that Python will not run it because it's not code cell. Python will only execute code cell, but the text cell can serve as any comments or notes for you and for your readers. So let me show you how to create a text cell. So here's my vacant cell and I don't need it because it's a code cell. So I'm just going to delete it. Okay, so then I move my mouse to the second cell because I'm going to create another cell below this one. So I'm going to go to Insert and I'm going to go to text cell, create a text cell, and you can just type your content. This is a note. This is the note section. So I'm just going to type a sentence there. I can add another code cell below this text cell. And you can see this is my text cell and Python will not run it. And there is no run button beside. If you see, if I go to any code cell, there is always the arrow, the run button. But if I go to the text cell, I don't see the run button because you cannot run it. It's just for your notes. And also Python allows you to run multiple cells together. So if you go to runtime and choose run all, and you can see both cells are running and both cells have been executed. So that's another really great function. And also inside Python coding, you can always add more comments inside any code cell by using the hashtag. So for example, in the first code cell, I can add a comment at the very top using hashtag. In this cell, I create a new variable called consumer. So that's the comment that I add to the code cell to kind of remind me what the code cell is for and also to remind my reader what the code cell is for. And it's up to your habit. Sometimes, after my comments line of coding, I just want to add a space there just, to make my coding to be read more easily. That's the reason why. So I prefer to add more space between different lines of coding just to make my reading just to make my coding easy to read. And also another habit is that for my second cell, when I use any arithmetical sign like plus sign, divide sign, I always want to add a space between my variable name and the sign. It doesn't matter if you have that space or not. You can still run your coding, no problem. But for human eyes, maybe it's easier to read if you add a space there. So see, I just can run it. And some people may wonder, what if I close this Google Colab notebook file, where to get it? So let me show you where to get your codebook file. So if I accidentally close it, well, no worries. You can go to your Google Drive, by just go to drive.google.com. And then here is my Google Drive. And under my Drive section, I have a bunch of different files, and I'm just going to look for a folder called Colab Notebooks. This is one. And basically, then you can just double click on this one. And then you're going to look for the file name demo. And that's the one that we just created. Okay. So here is how we can get our Google Colab file. And next, you may wonder, since this is online, how can I access a local file? Well, no worries. There are some ways for you to access your local files. Basically, there are two ways. One is that you can upload a local file from your local computer. Let me show you how to do that. So let's add another code cell. Okay, we're going to type some code in there. We have to import a module. So we're going to say from Google Colab, import files. And then we're going to have another line of coding, files, upload. So here are two lines of coding that we need to upload any local file from our computer to this notebook to use it. So we're going to run these two lines of coding. Oops, I have to add a parenthesis there. Okay, so we're going to run these two lines of coding. And then you can see this choose button appears, and you have to click on the choose files button. And basically, you're just going to add any file that you want to upload to this notebook. And it's there, it's 100% done. And this file now is inside your notebook, okay? And you don't see the file content. That's because you have to use some other module to open, to review the content of the file, but the file is already inside this notebook. So basically for this particular notebook file, you can use this updated file anytime you want. Well, another way to access a file is that you can access your file from your Google Drive. So imagine here, if I go to my Drive and I have a PNG file there, it's a photo file. So if I want to basically update this file, I'm going to use some lines of coding to access this Google Drive, to access this file on my Google Drive. So what I can do is that I can add another line of coding, and I'm just going to copy paste some words there. So I need this line of coding from Google Colab, import Drive, because now I'm accessing my Google Drive from Google Colab. And next I have to use the word drive.mond, and then I have to put /content/drive. Okay. That's kind of like pretty standard. So these two lines of coding are pretty standard. You basically just got copy paste the same wording there. And next part is exclamation mark, ls and /content drive my drive. This part pretty standard, but it's a part after my drive. That's the file name you want to access. So here I want to access the flow.png. Basically, I'm just gonna type the name of that file and just run the coding. It says that, well, go to this URL in a browser, and you're gonna click on this link and choose the one you want to sign in, and copy paste this link. Okay, copy this link and go to your Drive and paste it. And hit enter button again. So after you enter your authorization code and your Google Colab, it says mounted at content/drive, and you then have access to this file, and you can use any other module inside your Google Colab to access that Google Drive file. It's very convenient. Well, another very fantastic function of Google Colab compared with any offline Python editor is that it has already installed so many modules for you, like libraries, you know. So previously, a lot of people want to use pandas. They have to basically pip install pandas on their local computer, but now you don't have to do that. Let me show you here. So if I want to import pandas, I just import it. I don't even have to install anything there. And you can just, let's say, I import pandas as PD and I just print. Done. Let's see. I run successfully. That means I can actually import pandas successfully. And let me show you, we can also install any additional modules that maybe Google Colab does not have, but basically Google Colab has all the basic common libraries. You don't have to reinstall them, but let me show you, if you want to pip install a module here, you just add an exclamation mark and pip install, let's say pandas. So let's run this one here. It says that requirement already satisfied. We know that it means the pandas is already there. You don't have to install it. So that's the function. That's another good thing about using Google Colab is that it already has all the available modules and libraries, and you just can directly leverage them by using import, that phrase. You don't have to install them. But if you use any offline Python editor like Jupyter Notebook, you have to install a lot of like those libraries on your local computer first, and then you can import them into your Python coding. And another thing I would like to show you, a fantastic function, is that I have an existing Python, I have an existing notebook on my Google Colab. So let me show you here. And if I open this notebook, I have so many sections and code cell, and it's very hard for me to locate the information that I want to read. But no worries, you can go to this table of contents. This is fantastic to use. And here it lists out all the different section headers for me. And if I want to go to any section, I can just click on the section title and it's being highlighted. And on the right-hand side, you can see the section title and the content. And if this is the section you want to go to, you can just close the table of contents. So it's very easy to use. And if you scroll down there, you can see a lot of sections. They are basically folded. Well, no worries. You can, if you see the arrow there, you can just click on the arrow to unfold the content of that particular section. You're going to see more code cells being unfolded. So that's how to use Google Colab. Well, enjoy using it. Thank you for watching.